Welcome back, students. In the part 2 of this session, we will discuss design thinking process in more detail. As discussed in the last session, that design thinking process is a combination of 5 building blocks: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And this process is iterative, that is, we can do it number of times and outcomes of one step may be used in inputs in the other step. So let's start one by one in detail. The first step is empathize. It means empathize by engaging with your users. As we have discussed earlier, that design thinking process is a human-centered approach. So in this case, in the first step, we go to our customer, we go to our user who is going to use that product or service and ask them what kind of expectations they have. And on basis of their expectations, we try to immerse ourselves into their needs. It's just like to put up ourselves into the user's shoes. So in this process, we look for issues they may be or they may not be aware of. So we keep on discussions or we do some kind of a surveys. We can do interviews. We can do personal sittings and talks to them, and we can discuss about the problems on which we are working at. And finally, we are also looking for some kind of behavioral analysis or cultural limitations. It may be possible that one solution that worked in North India may not be useful in the South India. Or in a broader perspective, there are many examples like some products are very useful or successful in North America, but they are not useful in Africa or in Asian countries. So for this thing, we also need to look at the local requirements and the behavior as well as cultural background of the users. So that is the first step, to involve with your users and then note down few points or many points on what they are looking for in their solution. Next step is, once you have a very good idea or very good set of problems, in the second step, when we have a large number of data, a large number of suggestions, viewpoints through survey forms, through interviews, through personal discussions. When we have this data with us, then we can plan few problems. Then we can define what are their needs. Then we can define more insights and articulates on those insights. And that process is known as define. That is, the define mode is when you unpack and synthesize your empathy findings into completing the needs and insights and scope of a specific and meaningful challenge. It means when you deliberate all those inputs from the users and try to formulate a single sentence that these are the requirement. So to solve these requirement, this is the main need or goal of your product. So that process is known as define. It is critical to the design process because in this case you explicitly express the problem you are trying to solve. Lastly, in order to be truly generative, we must first reframe or frame and reframe the challenges based upon insights we are keep on gathering in our design process. So defining is not a one time. In fact, the whole design process is iterative. That is, we should do all the steps, 5 steps, number of times before we come to a final conclusion of our product. The third step is ideate. Now it is time to converge on a single idea. As we discussed in the first process, we got number of inputs. Then on the basis of those inputs, we define a problem. Once we define a problem, we keep on finding out number of solutions. But depending upon various solutions, in this step, we will try to find out a single and best optimized solution. So, ideate solutions by challenging your assumptions and creating innovative ideas or solution. So, in this mode, we'll discuss all possible solutions relevant to the problem we have defined. And then we analyze each and every solution on the basis of the goals and objectives of the users we have already discussed. We will also evaluate all these solutions on economic, socio-economic, cultural, and other feasibility parameters. So only we will select that solution which is sustainable on these different parameters. So in the process of ideate, we discuss all possible solutions, but we will conclude only at one solution which is very optimized and best based upon different parameters decided by the team. The fourth step is prototype. Now once we have finalized a single idea, then we should start working on it. We shouldn't waste our time on keep on discussion and discussion. Once the idea is finalized, let's start building the prototype. So what is a prototype? Prototype is a lightweight solution to your problem. Why should we use the word lightweight? Lightweight means without much of aesthetics, without much of interior or exterior designing, it should be a minimalistic workable model which a user can understand that when it will be a final model, this is the way it look like or the way it will work. So try to build a prototype which can demonstrate your idea as well as your solution to the problems you have already discussed or pointed out by the users. So a prototype can be anything that takes a physical form, be it a wall of post, notes, so many notes. It could be a role-playing activity. It could be an object, model, or interface, or a storyboard. In most of the software, there are presentations also will work like prototype because we keep on shifting the slides as a presentation of how the software's windows will look like. So the idea is to do it quickly, fail quickly if it is not workable, learn quickly and cheaply, and keep on building a workable prototype. So that is the main objective behind it. The last stage is test. In this stage, we need to test our solutions with actual users. Let's go back to the users who helped us in defining the problems, in empathizing, and even as I told you earlier, you should reach to those users also, which may not be part of the empathizing process, but they are also the actual users, so that we can test and try how our prototype is working. This will help us to refine our solutions and make them better. And it is a continuous process so that we can keep updating our prototype and make it better and better. So finally, I'll conclude this session by again coming to the same diagram, that is design thinking process is an iterative process, feedback process. We have to use output at various stages to be input of the previous stages and other different stages. And we have to do it number of times, but organically this is only a 5 building block based process. In the next session, we will discuss about double diamond theory and compare with this with IDEO V.2 theory also.